picture. Beautiful thing from 1980. 4,500,000. You out, Lisa? Yes.
Finding the numbers in the dice.
It's your picture, sir. Put 4.
I've put another 2 dice next to my beautiful Las Vegas dice. So here is a question. If I throw all 3 dice, is it better to bet on a score of 9 or a score of 10 coming up? Prior to the 16th century, there were no tools available to answer such a question. And yet, anyone who had played for long enough would know that if I was throwing only 2 dice, that it would be wise to bet on a 9 rather than a 10. Wow. After all, experience would tell you before too long that on average you get a 9, a third more often than you get 10. But with 3 dice, it is harder to get a feel for which way to bet, because 9 and 10 seems to occur equally often. But is that really true? It was in Italy at the beginning of the 16th century that an inevitable gambler, inveterate gambler by the name of the Girolamo Cardano first realized that there are patterns that can be exploited in the throw of the dice. Wow. They weren't patterns that could be used on the individual throw. Rather, they emerged over a long run, patterns that a gambler like Cardano, who spent many hours throwing dice, could use to his advantage. Wow. So addicted was he to the pursuit of predicting the unknowable that on one occasion he even sold his wife's possession to raise the funds for the table stakes. Wow. Cardano had the clever idea of counting how many different futures the dice could have. If I throw 2 dice, there are 36 different futures. They are depicted in the following diagram. Look at the diagram, please. Wow.
Still going on. It's $7 million. Nicholas, are we out? Yes, he's out. I'm going to sell it now, Sam. Give you last chance to come in again. It's $7 million here. With Barmy, it's $7 million. And it gives you Sam fair warning at $7 million. Thank you, Barney. 7 million. It's paddle number 73. Thank you, sir. And we move on to lot number 8. Here's the Frank Stella, the property from a private collection. This picture from 1968. We found a wonderful concentric grid painting here. And as hung in New York, you can see it on the screens at home. Also now, the title. Thank you. And I'm going to start the bidding here at 4,600,000, 4,700,000, 4,800,000, 4,900,000, now 4,900,000.
Only in 3 of them is the total 10, while 4 gives you a score of 9. So, Cardano reasons that, in the case of 2 dice being thrown, it makes sense to bet on 9 rather than 10. Wow. It did not help in any individual game, but in the long run, it meant that Cardano, wow. If he stuck to his math, would come out on top. Unfortunately, while a disciplined mathematician, he wasn't very disciplined when it came to his gambling. He managed to lose all the inheritance from his father and would get into knife fights with his opponents when his dice went against him. Wow. He was nevertheless determined to get one prophecy correct. He had apparently predicted the date of his death. Wow. 21st September 1576. To make sure he got this bet right, he took matters into his own hands. He committed suicide when his date finally struck. Wow. As much as I crave knowledge, I think this is going too a little far. Indeed, the idea of knowing the date of your death is something that most would prefer to opt out of. Wow.
$6 million.
But Cardano was determined to win, even when he was dicing with death. Yo. Before taking his life, he wrote what many regards as the first book that made inroads into the predicting the behavior of the dice as it rolls across the table. Although written around 1564, Libero de Ludo Ali didn't see the light of the day until it was eventually published in the 1663. Oh, 100 years later. Wow. It was in fact the great Italian physicist Galileo Galilei who applied the same analysis that Cardano had described to decide whether to bet on a score of 9 or 10 when 3 dice are thrown. Wow, Cardano lived before the Galileo Galilei. Wow, such an old man. He reasons that there are 6 times 6 times 6 equal to 16 different features the dice could take. Of these, 25 gave you a 9, while 27 gave you a 10. Wow. Of these, 25 gave you a 9, while 27 gave you a 10. Not a big difference, and one that would be difficult to pick up from the empirical data, but large enough that betting on the 10 should give you an edge in the long run. So law of large number, right?
Trying to get Brad $6.8 million here with a